Hello, everyone. I wanted to just hop on here and very quickly share my thoughts and excitement around Kerli's new reimagined version of her new song, 21st Century Kids, which just dropped this week. The first iteration of this song, which was the pop electronic version, came out back in January. So it's been 10 months since that version dropped. And now she did promise us back then that we would get the acoustic version. I'm actually a little surprised the song is not called 21st Century Kids Acoustic. It is called Reimagined. But ever since the song came out, I've been very much looking forward to her dropping the acoustic version. Christian Jarvi, who is a pianist, is accompanying her on the piano as she sings the song. And the performance that this version comes from was performed at Deaville back in January. It was one of the semifinals, if I'm not mistaken. It wasn't the final of Deaville, but it was right before the song dropped. And I remember that, you could watch the video very briefly before, people were trying to take it down because Kerli did not want the footage of the video to be out there unless she put it out herself. And she has said recently that she plans to make that performance or a performance of the song performing it acoustically with Christian, available on the internet at some point in the near future. So as with Kerli, everything has to take a long time. You have to be very patient. That is something us moon children have had to learn. But I'm very happy that she's actually dropping this, because I got to be honest with you, I kind of was worried that it had gotten pushed to the wayside, that it wasn't going to happen. I've already filmed a review about the song itself, so I will link that in the description for anyone who wants a little bit more of my thoughts on the individual track. But I do want to state that I vastly prefer this acoustic version. It just blows the other one out of the water for me personally. As a fan of Kerli, I definitely prefer her more melancholic and whimsical side to her performance and delivery. And I think that the pop version is cute, but it's not actually having a lot of staying power for me in terms of re-listenability. So I think this new version is going to become the one that I listen to quite a lot over the coming months. It's definitely, as she even spoke on her new live stream she just had today, like sort of like wintry, kind of spookier version of the song, because it takes a song that is kind of more in a uplifting kind of tone and makes it quite reflective and as I said, melancholic. And her vocals are just so much more beautiful and spotlighted. I just absolutely love this rendition of the song with the piano. It is everything I want from Kerli, and I really needed it right now. It's actually kind of interesting. I felt I'd give a shout out. There's another acoustic version of a song that came out on the 27th as well, by Swedish artist September. Petra Marklund, those of you who are familiar, she had some serious hits in the US as well with her hit songs Cry For You, which was one of my all-time favorite songs as a teenager, one of my favorite dance songs. And September just released an acoustic version of that song as well. So I highly recommend you listen to it. It's the same kind of deal where it's an orchestrated, extremely reflective and beautiful and whimsical version of a otherwise kind of up-tempo kind of song. And it's just a perfect flip on the script for such a fan favorite. So it was kind of a special treat getting both of these acoustic versions. I wanted on Twitter, I put out a tweet saying like, shout out to these two Nordic queens, because, Kerli is Estonian and Petra is Swedish. I would really love to see more acoustic versions of some of her songs. I would, of course, love to see more acoustic versions of Kerli's songs as well. But I do not believe that I wanted to address sort of again, by the way, I am donning my Kerli shirt from, I think, 2016 I got this. I felt I had to sort of represent. And Kerli did hold a live stream today, and as a consummate Kerli fan, and for any of you moon children who happen to be watching, maybe you missed the live stream, I highly recommend you check it out on Instagram. There was some information I was trying to glean about, what Kerli's direction is here with this project and with 21st Century Kids. And The overall kind of, I think, idea that the overall conclusion that I'm coming to, that I think is a pretty safe conclusion, is that 21st Century Kids is a standalone project. It is just a song. Kerli admitted that she actually wrote the song back in 2019. It was one of the first songs she wrote after Shadow Works, where that was a very heavy project, and she wanted to do something a little bit more pop and lighthearted and kind of simple in a way lyrically. And so she, had thought, she wasn't sure as she began to work on her next upcoming project. I don't know if it's going to be an album or just an EP or a collection of singles. I'm not sure how that's all going to fall into place. I hope that it's going to be an album. I know she's talked about how she is a little burnt out by the whole album process. It's a little too much. But I hope that, if she takes her time, we can still get another fully realized project, and we can just call it an album. But it sounds like 21st Century Kids was a song she decided to put out to sort of a gift to the fans while we wait for the next upcoming record, project, EP, group of singles, however you want to categorize whatever she wants to categorize her next real era as. So it's like a mini era, the era of joy. And it's very interesting that, she put out, we actually heard the acoustic version before, for those who watched the Deaville performance, we actually heard the acoustic version of this song before the actual official release of the pop version. And I always thought it was interesting that, the character of Joy, which is this DIY kind of steampunk Barbie, kawaii kind of pink robot character. I find it very interesting that, the idea of joy is what is so infused with this particular song, because even the lyrics in the pop version are, I think, celebratory, but also very cautionary and sort of weighted in a way that makes me think, I don't know if this is embodying, unbridled pleasure and joy the way that I would necessarily characterize this song as. It's, lyrically an important message. And of course, the acoustic version is so bittersweet that it's not exactly the first emotion that comes to mind when you especially listen to the acoustic version. So I just find it very interesting that she is pairing this concept, which is, the age of pleasure, to quote Janelle Monáe, the age of, being in joy and a positive kind of wavelength, with a song that sort of fits the concept, but not entirely. So I think that, the sonic instrumental, of course, for the pop version very much fits, but the lyrical content, and then in the acoustic version where that's more spotlighted, it's a different story that's being painted. I think it's very much one of resilience, and also Kerli talking about, again, just how she's had to struggle and looking back at her time on a major record label. And anyway, she talks about a lot of interesting stuff on the live stream. I don't want this video to be too long. Last time I made a video about 21st Century Kids, it ended up being a 30-minute video, so I'm going to keep this kind of brief, but I just wanted to share that I am in love with this version. Kerli, is one of the few artists that'll get me online these days to film track reviews. So I do want to share my thoughts on this, and I am hopeful that we are going to be getting some more music from her. Hopefully next year we'll start getting teasers or full kind of morsels of her upcoming project that she again teased on this live stream, meaning I think that it will be a completely, not entirely different, but a completely, new kind of project and concept that isn't really distinctly tied to the Joy campaign and this particular song. This is just a little droplet in between. So yeah, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this track. Again, I'm just so happy it finally came. It did take 10 months. That was not how long I thought when she said, oh, I'll drop it soon after. I thought maybe like a month. No, in Kerli time, no, that means at least 10 months. And she says she'll put out the live performance. That'll probably be another 10 months. I do love her. It's just, I have to come for her for how long it takes her to do things. Especially, unfortunately, and this is kind of an unfair comparison, but we're going to be talking about Taylor Swift this week. Yeah, for any of you who are wanting to know, I am going to be making a video this week talking about Taylor Swift. Talk about someone who's putting out too much music right now. So I don't know if the Swifties, Swifties, you might feel at home in that video, but you might also want to stay away. because I am not a die-hard stan of Taylor, and I have some, I don't know if they're entirely hot takes, but anyway, I'm excited to talk about 1989 and Speak Now. I've never reviewed those albums on this channel, so that will be coming this week. But yes, it's quite interesting to, contrast the two artists. I think saying work ethic is a little unfair, but, obviously Taylor has all the resources in the world, and most other artists could only dream of in that level of success. But I still think the less is more approach could really work for Taylor, even though she's still killing it success, as far as all of the economic and chart success that she could possibly dream of. We'll talk about it in that video. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this one. Very excited for what's to come for Kerli. And even if it takes a while, we're holding on tight for this ride. Peace, love, and light. Bye.